listening to the Top Music Guitar Podcast, the show for guitar teachers to learn about the craft of teaching great guitar lessons that students love. If you're looking to start or expand your studio and make guitar teaching your full-time dream job, you've come to the right place. Each week, you'll get to hear from some of the top guitar teachers from around the globe and get their best tips and experiences so you too can build your own dream studio. I'm your host, Michael, and I've founded one of the top guitar schools in Australia, written a best-selling curriculum, and I mentor guitar teachers. I'm excited to share my expertise with you and the wisdom of all the experts we interview. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, it's Michael here with another episode of the Top Music Guitar Podcast. Today I've got a real treat for you, a really awesome guest, a great friend of mine and someone who's been an amazing teacher for myself and so many other people in the Melbourne music scene. And that is the head of guitar at Box Hill Institute, the master finger wizard in the jazz and Latin sort of scene here in Melbourne. And that is Mario Lattuada. Mario, welcome to the Top Music Guitar Podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
It's great to see you too, and great to have you on here. Well, I first met you when I was 18, or maybe it was even 17, looking at auditioning at Box Hill many years ago. That would have been about 2007, 2008, depending on when the open day was. A long time ago. So yeah. I remember coming to the open day and having a conversation with you about, what we need to do to get into university, and, the rest is history from there. So, Mario, I didn't actually have Mario as a formal teacher. I had him for guitar ensemble class and a technical class and a couple of lessons here and there when some of the other teachers were away. But he was absolutely awesome. Someone who I think had more fun teaching the lessons than we did taking them. If I could say one thing about Mario, he always had a smile on his face. But Mario, can you give the listeners a brief introduction about yourself and an overview about your journey so far?
Yeah, sure. Well, I started at Box Hill Institute in 1988, a long time ago, as a sessional, and I did that for 3 years. And prior to that, I was teaching, can you believe it, clarinet as well as guitar. I lasted 2 years in the education department, but that wasn't for me, just going to a different itinerant music teacher. But I was teaching woodwinds because I'm also a clarinet player, but I haven't played for a long time. I wasn't actually teaching guitar in the high school. I was teaching clarinet, saxophone, flute, or whatever they had, So that wasn't for me. So then I freelanced for a bit and I got the sessional job at Box Hill Institute. And then luckily in 1991, I got the full-time position there. And I'm just completed 30 years of teaching full-time at Box Hill Institute, and I'm currently on my long service leave for 1 year this year. So, yeah, it's a bit different. After 30 years, of going to school every day, Box Hill Institute, I'm just at home here, and it's kind of nice, but I'm getting a little bit fidgety, to be honest, 3 months into it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I reckon I'd go mental if I had nothing to do for a year. But no, you definitely earned your break. And 30 years, wow. I know one awesome student, but how many students would you have taught at Box Hill during the course of 30 years?
Probably thousands. Yeah, we tried to work it out, but it'd be thousands. But in terms of guitar, I don't know. I have no idea, but it'd be thousands. And the really nice thing is that I'm still connecting with students that I taught 30 years ago and yourself from 2007. And I haven't, Chris Cheney was one of my first students from the Living End, and Cameron Mitchell, I still am in contact with him. And look, it's wonderful. There are so many friends, I call them friends now, on Facebook that look after me. They get me gigs. They help me with computer questions, and they know who they are. And it's just, I'm so lucky. For me, it was like I've planted all these seeds, and now I'm, seeing the result. And I keep up with performances that they do. I'm very lucky, really. And to know you, Michael, you've helped me with my music business. So thank you to you too.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to help. And awesome stuff. And it's exactly what you said, spreading seeds around there.
Yeah.
And, you essentially get to reap what you sow. And by sowing great positive energy and helping people, all that benefit's hopefully going to come back to you now if
Yeah.
it hasn't already continuously come
Well,
back to you. But
I can tell you, you spread good
yeah,
karma, it comes back to you. Definitely.
100%. And for all the teachers listening to this, it's who might be, 1 year or 5 years into the game, just to realize how further down the track you can have a big impact on your students' lives, and how someone you teach now might grow up to be a professional guitar player like Mario did with Chris from the Living End, or simply the fact that people, during COVID, 20 years down the track, during the lockdowns and everything, could go, oh, yeah, I'll dust out the old guitar and bring back a bunch of new memories and have a bunch of great more time. So you can have a bigger impact on people's lives and what you may fathom or even believe where you are right now.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to say, I always mention Chris Genie, of course, he's done very well. But there are so many other of my guitar students that have created guitar schools like yourself. There's a guy called Reese Lett, and he runs out of Baronia there, and I think somewhere else he started a guitar school. And in this guitar school, he's got Xbox Hill students teaching in there. Yeah, a lot of Xbox Hills guitar students and others that have created their own music schools. And I know that you've got your one in Essendon there as well. So, there's a lot of guys in the industry playing. One of them is Troy Downwood, who is now playing in all the musicals at the moment. So he's doing well there. Music schools, recording. Look, it's just amazing, If you work hard and the thing is to be diverse, Michael, one of your questions that you're going to ask me, I think I wrote it down, and the more fingers you have in different pies, the more people will ring you. If you only do one thing, that's great. But if you can record, if you can arrange, if you can compose, if you can write music, if you can play different styles, then and if you can do backup vocals as well, you've got a much better chance of being employed, as I've found out.
100%. And we're definitely going to have a chat about, how to become an employable musician and career paths for people who want to aspire. And the last little thing before we move on is, it's really easy to point to some of our students who do really well, or the people that become professional musicians. But often it's just simply giving somebody who has an otherwise mundane life or has no hobbies something to do and some enjoyment in their life simply by picking up the guitar and having fun or spending some time with you. That's just as much a victory for you and your teaching as it is, training the next Jimi Hendrix and things like that. So guys, again, don't underestimate the impact you can have on people's lives. But speaking of career pathways, Mario, you were definitely present at my audition. I remember it like it was yesterday. And Box Hill's got a fantastic institute. And again, part of the reason why I went to Box Hill was just because I'd heard so much about its contemporary guitar program and all the great work that you were doing, and how, impactful on the local scene it was with all these great musicians coming out of it. What's it like, and what are you looking for in students who are auditioning and trying to go down the pathway of being a employable musician and going through music school as such after their education?
You talk about the audition?
Yeah, so in terms of those who, what should they do to, audition or try to go to music school?
Yeah, well, I must have done thousands of auditions. And to be honest, Michael, within the first 30 seconds, I can already tell whether I would be letting that student in or not. 100%. It'd only take me 30 seconds. So I'm going to reverse the question. What do you think? What do you think the qualities I would see in the first 30 seconds, Michael?
I think even before the first 30 seconds, just by coming to the pre-audition, you can get a feel for who's motivated and who's not. You can see when people are nervous or not, or if, they feel comfortable. And then, of course, their air as a performer, things along the lines of that. But
some people can be nervous but are good players, Some people can be really confident but aren't good players, But it's the demeanor of the student. It's how they present themselves, how they're dressed, how they get the instrument out of the case, how they tune the instrument, the care in which they take with the backing track, and the way they respond to you when you speak to them as a human being. That's what I'm talking about the first 30 seconds, Michael. The guitar, when I hear them play, that's the other side of things. And, pretty much I was never wrong when I let people in. I let you in, didn't I?
Definitely.
Look, talent is very important. Talent is very important, but it's like having a good attitude, towards life. That's important if you're going to be a student, and the course. Is this if I choose this student, is this student going to complete the course? Because a lot of the time they come and they last 3 months, and and are they going to react well with their peers? You know, they're the things that we were looking for to begin with. Then, okay, now let's hear you play. You know, that's the way it is.
Yeah, so it's almost like the attitude is more important than the technical ability in the
Absolutely.
beginning.
If the sight reading is not good, and usually more than 50% of the time the sight reading isn't good, but the playing is musical, and that you can see that the student would have an opportunity if they had guidance, then I would rather that. Sometimes we would have students that would be have too much of an attitude. We're very confident in playing, but I'd rather it the other way around.
That's it. And obviously, you've got quite a number of students and a big pool to pick from. So it's kind of like nurturing. And I know this is a bit of an institution rather than a private music school, but it's important to have the right community of students and make sure everyone gels with each other, right?
Yeah. And these students create lifelong friendships, Michael. And I'm sure you still have friends in your year, and it's amazing when I look on Facebook, students that I taught 25 years ago, they're still friends now. They go to each other's weddings and still friends. And I can tell you just a little story. My wife's friend said, "You've got to come to the hills, to listen to this band. They're amazing." And I thought, oh, yeah, all right. People are always telling me to come and check out a band. Well, I don't know if you remember them or know them, but they were called Fats Wawa, and they were a wonderful band. And so I get there, and lo and behold, three of the members I, I taught 25 or 26 years ago at Box Hill Institute, the guitarist, the drummer, and the bass player. And I went up and said hello, and my wife said, "Do you know everybody in Melbourne?" I said, "Not only do I know them, I taught them."
Yeah.
And it was and Cameron's playing was just exquisite. It was country, it was funk, it was reggae, and they were still mates together after all those years of doing rhythm section at Box Hill or whatever. And I thought, and I hadn't seen them for 20 something years. And I thought, wow, how good is that? How good is that?
Definitely. Absolutely amazing stuff. And yeah, you can't go anywhere, Mario.
No, to be honest, it's true. Every time I go somewhere, somebody's playing, I go, oh yeah, I taught him. Yeah, I taught her. And it's just wonderful. Like I told you, I've planted all of these seeds. I did a concert with Robbie Melville's doing really well at the moment. He won an award for composition, and the piano player, oh, I can't think of her name now. She won an award as well, and with the ABC, she did the Lullaby Project. Oh, she's going to kill me. I can't think of her name. Look, there's so many I can't think of their names.
As it
Yeah.
1,000 plus. I think I heard a statistic you can only actively remember 300 names at any one time. So
Oh,
you've got
dear.
about 3.5 times the amount there. But
Yeah.
awesome. Now, in terms of people who want to become career musicians, you're obviously getting people coming in at a certain point and a certain level. So how do you approach teaching these kind of people differently than beginners, for example?
Well, with the beginners, where did I write this? Well, with a total beginner, it's important to engage them immediately. And I think it's important to get them improvising as soon as possible, Michael. You just play a couple of chords as an accompaniment. You teach them three notes. I saw Don Burrows. He was a famous clarinet saxophone player. He played a blues with one note, a blues with two notes, a blues with three notes, and George Goller was accompanying him. And I thought, wow, how good is that? Why didn't I think of that? And you can teach a kid to play one note, but I mean, C James blues, for goodness sakes. And if you can get them engaged immediately, rather than, but don't get me wrong, reading is very important, and I'm very big on reading, but it's got to be a balance of having fun and learning the hard stuff, which is reading. So I get them to improvise immediately, or even get the pedals out and just make good funny sounds, or sounds. It's got to be fun. If it's not fun, Michael, forget it.
100%. And maybe I'll ask your opinion. I went from being a very good guitar player at high school where the system was geared towards, learn this piece to pass the exam to being,
Yep.
really, really struggling in year one because I just never improvised before. So what are your sort of thoughts on that topic of, the people that haven't improvised before?
Just make it simple. One chord. You should be able to improvise over one chord with 7 notes, just the diatonic notes in C major. And then, in 1 to 4, chord 1 to 4. I could play 1 to 4 all day, and then 4 to 3, and then 1 to 2, 2 to 5. Just the basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7 chords, in a major scale. How many tunes have that? 2, 5. Pink Floyd, Great Gig in the Sky, that famous solo that the woman sings over, that goes for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's just a 2, 5, Michael. 2, 5. How good is that song? Yeah. So just begin with one chord, E9, sharp 9, and just improvise over that. Then 2 chords. I could happily play over 2 chords all day. And then 3 chords. All right. And then, the harder jazz stuff with the bebop and so forth eventually. But it's got to be fun.
Awesome. And in terms of once the students get to you at that advanced level, what happens there or wherever they come in at that entry point within the university system?
Well, this was the plan over the last 10 or 15 years. In first year, you know, we kind of prescribe the pieces for the students. Yep, they have a set choice, but we say, look, work on this, this, and this, right? In first year. In second year, it's more about, well, what kind of styles are you interested in, and we give them more choice. Yeah. And by the time they get to third year, well, that's it. You've got to have your style and your own voice. And if you're going to be bebop guitarist, your final recital has to be just bebop pieces. If you're going to be a Stevie Ray kind of blues player, you've got to play a variety of that sort of thing. So we changed it from when you were there. When you were there, you had to play a category from here, here, and here. Well, along the lines, we thought, well, that's silly because, a rock guy needs to be good at rock playing, not bebop. They can have a go at it, and especially if they don't want to do it, and vice versa. Yeah. So by the final recital, a student should just have their own voice and play a kind of genre style guitar playing that they want to make a living on, when they leave. That's how we do things at Box Hill.
That's absolutely amazing. So it's more about nurturing the
Yep.
musician for who they are and helping them discover, what they want to be.
Definitely. And the changes in performance platform have been really good. Tamara Murphy's teaching there, Shane O'Mara, Peter Luscombe. And, by second year, they have to play 20 minutes of, music that's arranged and or composed by themselves. And they have to explain who they are. And it's really quite deep. Yeah. So performance craft is what Box Hill is really heading towards at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. And before you mentioned, making money out of your music. So what advice do you have for people who are looking to get into a music career but don't quite, know how to make money out of it, or have parents, particularly who are like, musicians have this stigma about them and they never make any money. They're always broke and unreliable. Like, what advice would you have for these kind of people with those concerns?
Well, it's pretty hard at the moment, isn't it, to make a living out of music because of the COVID situation. But prior to that, and hopefully in the future, as I said before, the more flexible you are and the more styles and the more fingers and different pies that you have, the more you'll make a living. If you're just a session guitarist, wanting to do session work, well, at the moment, there's not a lot, is there? You know? So, but if you can play bass and if you can sing, if you can record, if you've just got all these different talents, then you got a better chance. That's it. That's my advice. And we did have an industry meeting one day, and we invited all of these people in the music industry, and we had a long discussion all day. And at the end of the day, that's what they said. If you don't diversify, then it's very narrow. And I can see that you can play the guitar, you can teach. You started you're very good at music business, Michael, and here you are. So students watching this should take it from me that Michael was just a guitar student when I've known him, but now, you've branched out into many areas and because of your intellect and your vision. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mario. And I think, yeah, for me, it was about seeing that there was a lot of musicians really struggling, and musicians have been traditionally, bad with money. And then
Yeah.
just going out and reading a bunch of books about finances and money and business. And fortunately, my parents have run a business the whole growing up. So a lot of those books were just on the shelf. All I had to do was read them. And I had wished I had read them a decade earlier. But for me,
Yeah,
it was
well,
just getting organized, and that's what set everything else in motion.
yeah, well, a lot of musicians just concentrate on the creative side of things, and then there's not. It's the end of the day, and there's no more time for doing business now. I mean, it's just how it is. When you're creative, you're just not in a business kind of mindset. But yeah, you've got to just be, savvy in everything that you do to survive. And I can also always see the ones that are going to, the ones that are going to do that. And I can
Yeah.
always see it.
And I can be honest, like I really, really struggled my way through university. I feel like, without putting a blame on anything, maybe it's just because I didn't start playing guitar till I was 15. And at that point, playing it for the first time, it was like getting hit like by lightning. I just knew that I wanted to be a guitar player from the very first time I played
Yeah.
my first note. But then I had to play this enormous amount of catch up to, play at the same level as everyone else. And then, to go from not playing to university in, 2.5 years or, by the third year of playing, I just
Yeah.
felt like I was nowhere near as good as everyone else. I was catching up, but I never doubted I would get there. It was just, I just needed the time. And then I had that arm operation that threw a whole nother spanner in the works because I was trying to catch up and over
Right.
practice. But yeah, for me, like, I definitely wasn't the best player, and I've improved a lot since then. But it's almost like when you get your driver's license, like the whole learner's period. When you get your license, day number one, that's when the real driving begins. After you get your license, you go out into the real world. And that's what it was like for me. I'd done all
Yeah.
this academic kind of playing. Then I went out in the real world and started playing in bands and teaching. And I just found my little niche in teaching.
Yeah. You said you weren't the best player, but Michael, I'm if I compare myself to other guitarists in Melbourne, I'm not the best player either. But you know what I mean? I could say that as well. But I sort of I used to think like that as well, but I don't anymore because I know that when I do play, people listen and then they applaud and then they say nice things to me. It's not that I'm looking for. It's just what happens when I play, and I'm just saying that I just enjoy giving that to the audience.
Yeah.
So
And it's
I'm
funny.
not, I'm not the best player either, but I know what I can do, and I try to make people happy.
Yeah. Oh, it's really funny you say that because, if we said, was I technically a very fast flash player? I would go, yeah, but it's really funny because I was a lot faster because I just come from a heavy metal kind of background where it was all speed and everything. I
Yeah,
could out I could play faster than everyone. It wasn't anything wrong with the technique, but I just didn't know the right notes and I didn't have the feel. And I'd listen to someone like Scott Henderson or Frank Gambale or any of the jazz fusion guys and go, "Wow, what are all these notes?" And because I couldn't do that, even though I could technically do it, but I didn't understand the language at that point, I
yeah,
felt really inadequate compared to some of the people that could. And you're absolutely right. It's not about comparing yourself to
no,
anyone else. Again, because they're all at different phases of their journey as well.
exactly. But the greatest joy is when you play a musical concert and then you can see in the audience that they're enjoying the music. That's the best, and that's what I've missed over the last 2 years. And sure, I still get nervous when I play, but you know, it's the best when you play and people are listening and you make them happy. It's that's what that's what I my philosophy.
Yeah, 100%. And for just sitting in Mario's classes, and when he does his 2 to 5 minute demonstration at the start of every lesson, that just
Yeah,
come across, and we were all just in awe of your playing
I,
at the
I
same
tend
time as well.
I tend to have the guitar in my hands all the time. I've been guilty of that, I know, but I just felt it was the best way for me to let the guitar do the talking.
That's it. And it was also about inspiring your students and letting us know what was possible. And
I
and
hope so.
Disclaimer for everyone else, like there are teachers that I've had lessons just sit there and noodle and they're more interested in showing you what they can do as opposed to teaching you. And it was definitely not like that. It was just, hey, here's what we need to work on. Here's an example of it without getting too carried away. There was a lot of really flash stuff, but it was always something where, just instantly all the attention was on. Everyone was, witnessing, a world-class performance. And that's literally what it was. And to be able to learn with you was such a privilege. And again, I didn't actually get to take the lessons with you directly as a sessional teacher. It was all just, as the head of that subject or, whatever particular lecture it was in the lecture format. But it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Many times I'd go, look, here, I'll do a solo for you. And students would tape me and they say, all right, well, here are the notes, So go home and transcribe them, These are the answers that you want, right? Because, Duke Ellington said, everything you need to know about jazz is in your living room or wherever your stereo is, right? Your stereo in those days, And it's a great saying, because if you listen to great players, well, there's the notes. There's a chord progression. There's the notes. They're doing it. Now just listen to what it is, find out what notes they're playing in which order, and then you could be good too, right? Well, it seems easy, but it's not as easy. So, I'd play and they'd transcribe and they would learn that way. Now, Michael, recently I've become a student myself, you see. So I'm doing lawn bowls at the moment and I love it, It's one of my passions, golf and lawn bowls. So I've been doing some training with a gentleman there who's really good at lawn bowls, right? And I ask him questions and but how do you get it so close, you see? And now, I in every lesson I sort of wanted to tell every student, look, it's like this. It's really easy, And so that's why I would play the guitar a lot so that they could see how it is. So when I'm a student in lawn bowls, my teacher says, look, you aim for that peg and then you bowl it at this speed and then you see, you'll get it. And I do it and it doesn't go anywhere near close, but he does it every time and it's close. So what is it? Why can he do that? He probably could get my bowls and do it with my bowls. Just like when you guys used to give me your guitars, remember? I say, look, give me your guitar and I'd play it and it would sound completely different to the way you played it, right? Because it's in the touch of the hand, the fingers, the hands, the plectrum, Same guitar. I go, see, same guitar. What a terrible thing to do to students. But anyway, you see, I've become a student now, but it's great. I want to know more. And I keep asking those guy questions. So I love students that ask me lots of questions. I love that, because I know that they really want to get there, because that's what I do when I want to learn something.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember one of my favorite classes with you. You were talking about the importance of transcription, and the classroom used to be, I think it was the old building before they knocked it down, along the back of the railroad, and the train just went toot toot, and you literally just gone, oh, it's toot toot, and you mimic the train going past on your guitar. I've always remembered that.
Oh dear. Oh, well.
Now, before you mentioned, how difficult it's been the last 2 years during the lockdown. So I know every teacher listening to this had to make a choice whether they take a break or they go online. And to teach private students online is one thing, but to, take a whole university faculty online and teach a whole student cohort is completely different. So within the tertiary realm, how did you navigate doing that?
Yeah, no worries. So online, the theory classes weren't a problem because we've got all the resources on the computer. I was teaching theory classes, I reckon 90% of how I would at Box Hill Institute. With the playing classes, we prepared a lot of backing tracks. So the bass player would have their track and the guitarist and the drummer and so forth, so that they could play along to something and then record their part. That was really time-consuming and difficult. Nick Lamb, who's one of the teachers there, he helped me a lot. We did a Wolfpack tune. I can't think of the name of it now, but it was awesome. And because there was a time, I don't know if it's still happening now, Wolfpack put all of the music for free. You could get all the stems. And so with rhythm section, we created play-alongs where students could play along to a track and then record and upload a video, okay? With my private student, likewise, he would. Luckily, he was really good with a couple that I've had. Were really good with making backing tracks, and so they would play at home to their backing tracks, and I would, listen on Zoom. So that's the way we did it. Yeah, but we tried playing together, and of course, there's latency, and it was just hopeless. So pretty much backing tracks and videos. All of the guitar assessments we did that way. Students had to do the test from the beginning to the end without stopping the tape, especially in oral training. We could tell if they stopped and did it again. They had to start from the beginning and mistakes and all, and go to the end. So video uploads and backing tracks.
Yep, it's definitely a challenging year, but it sounds like you had to put a lot more time and effort into things, but you got everyone through.
It was about 3 or 4 times the amount of work.
Yeah. And how was the morale of the students?
Pretty low, pretty low. I'd see them there. Hey guys, good morning. And they'd be, yeah, pretty low. After about the third one, we sort of got used to it. But the first and second one, it was, yeah, the morale was very low. And the retention rate, we lost about 20% of students, I think, 20 to 30 didn't want to continue anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty universal with all the music teachers I spoke to. It's like everyone seems to be dead on 30%.
So 20 to 30%, didn't continue.
And that's interesting because these are the people you'd think would be a little bit more serious about it, music in their life as well.
Yeah, but I totally understand if they were pissed off, and I totally get it. It's one thing to be dedicated, but to go through that, to be honest, Michael, I don't think I would have continued.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it's not what I signed up for. I signed up to be in a classroom in a brand new building. We were in a brand new building with beautiful equipment and to communicate with other students. And then I'm here at home, whoa, we're taking it to another level. So I felt very sorry for my students, and I'm so happy for the ones that continued, But I do understand for the ones that didn't. I do totally understand.
That's it. And going back to what you said before about building relationships, like I absolutely loved coming to Box Hill and my time at uni. It was just like, and I come from, the western side of town. So I'd either drive for 45, 50 minutes or do a 90-minute train ride each way. And the whole time I was just like, yeah, this is awesome. So to have that taken away from you and the social element, and, for those of you who come to jam and play with other people, it's a huge element. So yeah, I can completely understand with how difficult that would have been.
Yep.
Now, last time we spoke, which was a couple of years ago, you had a new musical project out. I believe it was your Latin album.
Yep. So that's still up on Bandcamp with your help. Thank you very much.
No worries at all.
So Bandcamp, if anybody wants to listen to my music, you can hear my album on Bandcamp and you can buy it there. And also during the lockdown, I started to do a lot of solo guitar things in my bathroom, because it's got lots of tiles in my bathroom. And I've got a YouTube channel. So you can just go to Mario Lattuada YouTube channel. And I've got, I don't know, 20, 30 videos ranging from Latin American to classical to pop, my pop arrangements, some jazz stuff. So I started just to play a whole lot of solo things. And the comments I was getting were amazing, especially during the lockdown, because we were starved of music, and people then started asking for requests. I had to do requests. And it kept me going through COVID. Yeah. Made me happy. Every time I put one up, it made me happy to see people's comments go, "You made my day, Mario. Wow." How good is that?
Yeah, and definitely check out some of those videos. I watched a few myself. They're all great playing, great ambiance in the bathroom there. But it was really good to sort of, develop another mini fan base of just people watching, videos at home during lockdown and be able to provide some music, for people who otherwise had nothing to do.
Absolutely. Just people were starved of music, so it was good. Yeah.
And is there any other projects that you're working on, either in the studio or live, that you're thinking about doing?
I am going to record another Latin album. The studio's ready and everything. I'm just on long service leave, Michael, at the moment, 3 months into long service leave. And as I mentioned, I'm playing competitive lawn bowls now, which I'm very by the way, I'm very competitive. And I also play golf. So to be honest, I've done 30 years and I just want to have a few months where I play sport all every day. And I just recorded with Jake Underwood, and he's an ex-student from Box Hill about 5 years ago, and it's called the Winfield Road Experiment. And the CD came out last Friday. So it's wonderful. I did some rhythm tracks on it for him in a Latin style. So I did that. So Jake Underwood is his name. And I am going to do my own solo CD. And I did a concert about a month ago with Danilo Rojas. He's a Bolivian guy that mixes Bolivian music with jazz. And we did a concert at the Frankston Arts Centre. And we are going to do some more concerts this year sometime. It's really interesting to meld Bolivian rhythms, because normally I can play Brazilian rhythms and Argentinian rhythms, no problem. But Bolivian, they're a little bit harder. And with jazz, So it's a Latin American kind of jazz Andean band. Yeah. So I'll be doing things with them. And my own solo CD, I'm going to do another one of those as well, maybe in the second half of the year. But I also want to go traveling with my wife, because now that we can travel and I've got time, I just want to have the time to travel when I want to, rather than start musical things and then, sorry, guys, now I've got to go traveling,
Yeah.
That's
you've got a whole year off. You definitely want to enjoy it and make the most of it. And that'll probably give you a refreshed thing to come back to, a renewed energy and vigor. So that sounds awesome. And of course, when all that stuff's out, just shoot us a line and we'll pop it out to the Top Music family, make sure they can listen. I had one more question about mistakes, but let's dive into the books first. Yeah, while you've got them there.
Well, look, the first book, Michael, everybody should read this. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
That was just a little... All right. Look, this is an amazing book. Quincy Jones, the autobiography. Oh my goodness! He went from bebop to hip hop in a whole life. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. Quincy Jones. It's amazing. So that's a good read. And I just read this about 2-3 months ago. This is amazing. Steve Lukather, and it's called The Gospel According to Luke. A Catholic joke there. And oh wow! If you want to know what it was like to be a studio guitarist in the 80s and 90s, read this book. Michael, have you read this?
No, I haven't. I didn't know it was out, but I'm going to probably jump on Amazon after this.
You will love this book. It's amazing. He's very candid, and he tells it to you how it was. He used to do 25, at the height of it, 25 sessions a week. They'd do three sessions in a day. When they asked him, how many recordings have you played on? He said, I lost count at 800 CDs.
Yeah, unreal.
He's just amazing. And then there's a selected discography at the back of who he's played with and what recordings, like the Michael Jackson stuff. And oh my God, So, but it's very funny because he's a funny kind of guy, right? So I couldn't put this down. That's really good. And I like all different types of music. This is John Williams, the famous Australian classical guitarist. So this, talks about his life, and I'm a huge fan of, John Williams. So at the moment, I'm reading Mariah Carey's book, which she's amazing, Mariah Carey. I like singers, I like guitarists, I like bass players, drum, anything to do with music. So yeah, they're three really good books. And, of course, sporting biographies as well, Michael.
Yeah, I can always attest to any form of successful person is probably going to have something interesting to tell you. And, successful athletes, successful musicians, successful business people, they've always got things in common. Now, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here and put you on the spot. I know Box Hill had like the super top secret teachers only section of the library because my teacher, Jonathan, snuck me the copy of the Frank Gambale technique books one day. He goes, I'm not meant to give you these, but these are from the staff room. Mario's looking confused right now.
Because we lost those.
Oh, no.
We lost those. I'm just wondering if you pinched them.
I definitely gave them back because John made sure I got them. John, first thing Monday, he gave them to me Friday afternoon and had to meet him up in the car park. And, he made me give them back Monday at about 10 a.m. I remember that. But yeah, so in terms of guitar books for advancing guitar players, what would you sort of recommend as some good ones?
Yeah, see those Gambale ones, amazing as they are, But he said it took him 25 years to develop all that stuff. If you read the introduction to those books, look, we had so many guitar books, but in the end, honestly, I wanted a bit from that and a bit from that and a bit from that. There's no one book, Michael, that I could just say, get that book. I always wanted this from there, this from there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But definitely the Frank Gambale book. You know, John McLaughlin brought out his DVD, 2 DVDs, and it's called This Is How I Do It or something, And it's like, oh my God, I would need to start all over again, I don't, in this lifetime that I have, I could never do all of the stuff that John McLaughlin was saying, even with Frank Gambale. You just got to work it out yourself, to be honest. Books are good only just to get a direction, and then you've got to take it and, take it somewhere else. And as every book will have something that is useful to you, you just got to find it and nurture it, So no, I don't have any. I'm not going to recommend any book.
Yeah. Well, good, safe answer. But no, definitely valuable. There's always something to learn from any book and multiple sources, and there is no one true way. As much as certain people get into it, there's so many things you can get from, taking a broader sort of approach there. Now, coming to the end of our question time here, are there any mistakes you've made along the way, either in your music career or your teaching?
I'm just going to say this. If I had to, be reincarnated and come back again, I would do exactly what I did. I never had a plan, Michael. I never had a plan. I just played the guitar. I met different people and then created a friendship like with Robert Bretetich. That just happened by accident, how we met and composed music and so forth. I would do it all again. I'd do it all again, exactly how it panned out. Just let it go, play, meet people, have a jam, record with this person, and it's wonderful. But there's only one, I wrote down one thing where I did make a mistake early on. Look, I had this young student, this is many years ago, who I thought was very talented. It was an Italian boy, and he was about, 12, 13 years of age. And I saw great potential in him, okay? So it was about November, December. I was giving him a weekly lesson. And I said, look, over the Christmas break and holiday break, I want you to do this, and this in your practice, and you'll be really good. So pretty much I had him doing an hour of sight reading, an hour of scales, an hour of this. I had him doing like 4 or 5 hours, because I thought he would be really good if he just did. I know what it is that you need to do to get good, right? Well, come January, February, his father rang me up and he said, he doesn't want to play there. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to play anymore. And he went and did soccer. So I feel that,
And that guy's name is Ronaldo. I don't know any other famous soccer players, no.
Multi-billionaire, yeah. I sort of took charge of his life, and told him to do all these things. And who am I to tell a kid to do 5 hours practice every day? It's got to come from within, Michael. And maybe I did him a favor. He worked out early on that, to be really good, you got to do many hours practice. But yeah, I would say that was a mistake. Telling a 12-year-old kid to do 5 hours of practice every day over the holiday break.
That's it. And, when we finally find people we think we can be just as good as us, we get excited about it. But exactly. As you said, I would have done the same thing with a handful of students as well, where I got too excited and gave them too much to do and scared them off kind of thing, unfortunately. Off, yeah. So, yeah, sometimes with those students, you just got to steer them in the right direction and then just, let them make their own decisions from there and just nurture them as much as you can without, like what you said, trying to take control of everything and micromanaging their life.
Micromanaging, yeah. So I would say that was a mistake that I did. I never did that ever again.
Yeah. Awesome. And, we're getting near the end here. So are there any final words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to pass on to guitar players and or guitar teachers?
Yeah. Okay. It's got to be fun. Like I said at the beginning of this, if it's not fun, you're not going to learn. Okay. If you go to practice at home and I'm going to do my 40 minutes now, and then you practice the scales aimlessly, and you do it because somebody tells you it's not going to be fun. I've always compared skateboarding to music, okay? And can I ask you, Michael, did you do skateboarding when you were younger?
I did.
Okay. So when you did skateboarding, did you have fun?
I'm a rare case because I was always conscious of breaking my arm because I like guitar more than skateboarding. But yes, I did have fun.
When you were there, wherever you were skating, were you in what we call flow state, where nothing else matters but just doing? You don't know what time it is, what day it is. You're just in the moment and having fun.
Yep.
Right. Did you read a book on how to skateboard?
Nope.
Right. Did you learn by watching others?
Yes.
And did you go out there all the time just thinking, I've got my skateboard and I'm going to have fun now where I'm going?
Yep.
Right. Well, if you can find that in playing the guitar and learning, then you will advance. See? Because I used to go to skateboard places, and the reason I learned this was because my two boys were into skateboarding, right? And they were 10 or something, and I actually tried it with them. And then I thought, wow, this is fun, The adrenaline at the age of 40 or whatever I was pretty stupid, and I thought, I get this. I get why so many kids go out there a whole weekend and just do skateboarding, because it satisfies, you're having fun, right? And you're getting better, you're learning tricks. And the idea is that you want to learn more tricks all the time, like that other kid that can do that, And it's like Frank and Bailey can do that, and Michael wants to be able to do that too, you see? And so there's no books, Michael. You ask me, which books do I read? What do skateboarders do? They go on YouTube and they watch Tony Hawk's or whatever. There's no books, is there?
No, not at all.
Right. So how do you learn skateboarding?
Just go out and do it.
Right. So the same with the guitar. Books are good. Don't get me wrong. But, just because you got a book, it doesn't mean it's going to give you all the answers, You've got to use your eyes. You've got to use your ears, to be a good guitarist. And it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, forget it. For me, Michael, fun is I play a piece and then I learn it, and then I play from beginning to where I got up to without a mistake, and I record it and I go, wow. And then I put on John Williams, listen to him, or Steve Lukather, and I go, oh yeah, I've got to, I'm almost there. But that feeling of I've almost got that piece, wow. And then finally, when I go into my bathroom, I make a little buzz and I have to start again, start again until I get it to a point of yes. And then I upload it to Facebook and I go, oh, and it gives me such a good feeling. It's fun, And then within half an hour, in come the comments. And that makes me happy.
That's awesome. And for anyone watching this and listening to this later, you can hear how much fun you're having through how you talk and the emotion in your voice and everything. And that's, again, what made you such a great teacher for us, because you had so much fun with it, and that imparted and it made it fun for us as well. So Mario, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure reconnecting with you here and having you on the Top Music Guitar Podcast. I know everyone listening has got so much out of it. And thanks again for coming. Can you just remind everyone where they can hit you up and get you access to your stuff and everything?
It's Bandcamp. Just put Mario Lattuada, Bandcamp. You'll see Espiritu Latino is the name of my album. And then just YouTube channel, Mario Lattuada. And there's a whole bunch of videos there that you can have a listen.
So there you have it, guys. Mario Lattuada, thank you so much for coming on the Top Music Guitar Podcast. We'll look forward to having another chat down the line when your album's out and all those kind of things. But other than that, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone listening at home, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again, guys. If you enjoy this show and want to hear more of our work, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, including a free ebook on how to find more guitar students, visit us at www.topmusic.co/guitar or check out the show notes. And lastly, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.